This is an instructional video that will explain how to use a technique called LSCI, which can be used to deal with kids who are going through a crisis situation and they're acting out. It's called Life Crisis Intervention, formerly known as LSCI. Now, LSCI is a nationally recognized professional training and certificate program sponsored by the Life Space Crisis Intervention Institute of Hagerstown, Maryland. LSCI is a 6-step intervention technique that can be used while working with students that turns crisis situations into learning opportunities for both the adult, which is probably the teacher, and the student themselves. There's 6 steps of LSCI, and the first step of LSCI is the drain off period. This is the period where you're gonna allow the kid to, voice their opinion, and let's face it, they might have to voice their opinion. They might be cussing and upset, because it's a natural feeling to be upset, and when you're upset, most people cuss when they're upset. So the first step is a drain off period, which you're just letting that kid vent. He's venting to you the problem. He might be yelling at you, he might be cussing at you, and you try to refrain the child from cussing, the student from cussing. You don't want him cussing up a storm, but you want him to vent the problem to you. This is why building a relationship with this student is very important. Now, during the drain off stage, it's important to let the child vent, like I said, and use words that otherwise would be deemed unacceptable. And get the student talking about the event or incident and basically the problem why they're acting out. This allows the student to drain off their emotional intensity, and it identifies the event or incident that led to the reason for you using LSCI technique. Now, the next step of LSCI is the timeline stage. Now, during this stage, the adult must encourage the student to relate in detail the unique perception of how the student took the event and why they're upset. And you really want to let them go into detail about this. You want to encourage them to detail, asking questions. So I understand, for example, and just reiterate what they said. So it lets them know that you're active listening. You want them to, relate the surrounding circumstances. Maybe Billy was screaming at them while the teacher was giving them problems or explaining, why they got a problem wrong, and it really upset Joey that Billy was in the background making noises or making fun of him. So that's the surrounding circumstances that led to the child acting out, which led to the need for you as the instructor to use LSCI. And now that second stage, which is the timeline stage, is when you want to start to kind of decrease the emotional intensity that the child is having. Now, the next step of LSCI is the central stage. This is the main part. This is the stage where you, as the instructor, you must explore the student's perception of the incident and their feelings, maybe the anxieties that they have about the situation and why they acted the way they did. You really want to encourage them to state the central issue. Why did you act this way? We're not talking about yesterday, how you were upset yesterday about something. We're talking about the central issue at hand. This step also uses reclaiming intervention, and there's 6 of them. The reality rub is the first reclaiming intervention that you use during the central issue stage. the first one is the reality rub. Now this is going to block the perception. This is the student block perception of reality due to the intense feelings that they're feeling. The red flag is imported problems. The next one is the new tool. This is when you want to try to teach the child new tools, maybe how to deal with their anger, new tools. Maybe during this stage you tell them, hey, instead of being all upset with everybody, why don't you color a picture? Maybe that'll help with their anger. Just something small like that can sometimes help with their anger during the central stage. And the next one is the symptom estrangement, which is that child is justifying the harmful behavior because they were treated bad, they acted out, which is harmful behavior. The next one is massaging numb values, which is the behavior was driven by guilt. Maybe they had a tough childhood growing up, so they're guilty, or maybe say mom or dad was on drugs and they feel like maybe they have guilt because they feel like they caused their parents to do drugs, which is not the case. But we have to remember that we're talking about youth, people under the age of 18. You really don't start to grow up to the age of 18. So we're talking about they have a lot of guilt and stuff. And the next one is the manipulation of the body boundaries, which is that student, manipulating. He's angry, so he's gonna manipulate Susie to go punch the kid that was making fun of him in the face, which is not good at all. So now the fourth stage of LSCI is the insight stage. Now this is the stage where you really want to reframe the student's perception of what happened. You want to enable, this is when you really want to enable your own insight into the situation, maybe by saying, well, you're okay to be upset, but this is what I would have done in this situation. And you really just want to insight. This is the part where you shine. You tell them how you feel, your life experiences, how you would have handled the situation, how you handled, maybe bring up how you handled the situation when you were younger and versus how you handle it now, so they kind of get that insight from you on, hey, this is just temporarily. Keep that in mind. You don't want to make this a bigger problem than it is. This is temporary. During this stage, you must get the student to recognize change, that change is possible. It's possible to control your anger better. And then lastly, during this stage, you and the student really have to kind of develop a plan of how you're gonna act or how you're gonna change this behavior. How's the student, and you want to work hand in hand with the student on how they're gonna change, what their plan is to change. The next step is the new skill stage. This is the step, one of the other stages, you kind of want to teach them that new skill, maybe how to handle it. But this is the primary stage where you want to teach the kid pro-social skills versus the negative social skills. Now, as the adult, it's important to consider what the reactions and feelings of self and others will be around the kid. During this stage, the adult and child really want to talk about how they can change this behavior. Now this is just a little short video, instructional video of how educators and parents, even parents can use this LSCI program. It really is a good program that allows you as the adult to kind of go into this kid's life. And it's so important to build relationships with these kids. They come in our classrooms. You really want to get to know them, because when this crisis situation happens, that's when you're going to need to, cash in on. I like to think of it as every time you interact with a child, you're putting chips into a piggy bank. Now, when this kid is going through his problems and he's acting out, maybe physically, verbally, in your classroom, That's why building a relationship is the most important part to using this whole program of LSCI. Because if you don't have a relationship, they're just gonna think, oh, this person doesn't care about me. He's phony or fake, you know. And so it's like it's like every time you talk, every time you have an interaction with the student, that's you throwing chips into the piggy bank. And now when a situation occurs like acting out and stuff, that's when you want to, you know, kind of break that piggy bank. If you think of it as a piggy bank, that's when you want to break the piggy bank and cash in all the chips that you ever had to calm this child down, and use this LSCI program to help you in that process. So this was just a little short video about how, giving you examples of the LSCI program and how you can, you know, use it in your everyday classroom as a teacher or instructor. Thank you for paying attention today. Appreciate it. Hope that you can use this in your future classroom.